Hey y'all, and welcome back to my kitchen, or welcome if you are new. My name is Bethany, or Budget Bethany, and I like to share these what's for dinners with y'all every single week in hopes to give y'all some inspiration to cook at home for your family as well. So this week I'm going to be sharing 3 super easy pasta dinners with y'all, so I hope you'll keep on watching.
Now all my dreams are coming true. I just wanna put my heels on tight, dance with you all night, move to my favorite song.
Alright, so kicking off this week's what's for dinner, we're going to be making some chicken and dumplings. And I know what you're thinking, Bethany, dumplings are not a pasta. And you're right, but these Mary Hill dumplings do taste like a pasta to me. They don't really taste like normal dumplings. So to make these chicken and dumplings, all you'll need is 2 packages, or however many you need to feed your family, of Mary Hill dumplings. And I found them at Walmart, or you can really find them at any grocery store around here where I'm at, but I don't know where you can find them at for you. So if I can find a link, I will link them in my description box for you. Maybe you can buy them offline. So besides the Mary Hill dumplings, you'll also need some chicken broth and a can of cream of chicken. And of course, some chicken. I'm going to use chicken legs just because I prefer the chicken with bones, because it gives the broth all that flavor. So I just boiled my chicken, my chicken bones. I boiled my chicken legs in my chicken broth, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water because a lot of the broth kind of boiled out as it was boiling. And then once I removed the chicken, I just kind of set that aside and let that cool so that I can shred it apart. And then in that chicken broth where I boiled my chicken, I added in my cream of chicken soup. And then I like to stir that cream of chicken around just to make sure that it gets all broken up and gets all mixed into the broth. Also, y'all, while I'm stirring in that cream of chicken, I do have my burner on high heat just because I want to bring that broth to a boil. And then once it is boiling, I'm going to start adding in my dumplings, and I just tear them in half just because it makes more and it makes for better cooking. But my grandma always done that, so that's what I've always done as well. But like I said, I'm just going to break them in half and drop them into that boiling chicken broth. Then once I get all of my dumplings added in there, I usually give it a little stir, and then I turn the temperature down to low just so that it doesn't scorch. Speaking of scorching, I've learned the hard way. You do want to kind of stand with your dumplings and kind of give them a stir every now and then just to make sure that they're not sticking to the bottom of your pot and scorching, because once the heat is coming from high to low, sometimes they still kind of tend to scorch. But once I got them on low and they're going at the low setting, I just add my lid to it and kind of let the kind of simmer. They're kind of simmering at this point. They're not really cooking. So here they are once they're all done. This is how they will look. Like I said, they look like noodles to me, and they also taste like noodles. They don't really taste like normal dumplings, but we love them, so I highly recommend y'all giving them a try if you've never tried Mary Hill dumplings. But this is how they looked once they were all plated up. Moving right along into the classic spaghetti. I don't think you can ever go wrong with spaghetti, and I feel like everybody loves spaghetti, so spaghetti is always a win-win in our house, and it's super easy to make. But I am going to be adding my little touches to today's dinner that I'm going to be sharing with y'all. So you'll need some ground beef. I've got a pound. You'll need some spaghetti sauce, whatever kind you prefer. I like to mix the Classico with the Great Value tomato and garlic kind. And of course, you'll need some spaghetti pasta. I'm going to be using the angel hair kind, but you can use whatever kind you prefer, as well as a block of cream cheese and some diced up bell pepper and onion. So as you've seen, I already have them diced up. So in my pot, I'm going to add my pound of ground beef, and we're going to get that browned up. And then for seasonings, I usually keep it pretty simple, and I'm just going to go in with some garlic powder, some onion powder, and a little bit of Italian seasoning. And then once my ground beef is all browned up, of course, I'm going to drain the grease off of it. And I will remove it from this pot for a little while because I'm going to cook my onions and my bell pepper in there. So I do leave a little bit of grease in the bottom of that pot just to have that grease to cook these bell peppers and onions in, of course. So while that is cooking, I'm going to bring a pot of water to boil so that I can crack in my spaghetti noodles in there. And I do always break mine in half. I don't know, I just feel like I get more that way. And I always wind up with a whole big old pot of spaghetti. But anyway, we're cracking our noodles into our boiling water. And then once my bell pepper and onion are done cooking, I just kind of turn my heat down to very low. And then I add back in the ground beef as well as a teaspoon of minced garlic. And then I start adding in my spaghetti sauces. And I always add some water into the jar. And then, make sure I get every little drop of that out of there. And then I just give that a little stir and give it all stirred up and kind of let that simmer on low while everything else is coming together. After my spaghetti sauce has simmered for a good 5 to 10 minutes, I like to go in with some cream cheese. So I have a block of cream cheese right here that I've diced up into little cubes, and I'm just going to throw that into the pot with the spaghetti sauce. Once I've let all that cream cheese melt, I'll go in with my spaghetti noodles. I'll drain the water off them, of course, and then add them into the sauce. And then here's how it looks once it's all mixed up together. And then if you're like me, I could just eat spaghetti, but my kids like to have sides. So for our sides, we've got some corn on the cob that I'm boiling in a pot on the stove. Also, we had some garlic toast that I cooked in the air fryer. And then here was our plate once it was all plated up. And then I just sprinkled on some Parmesan cheese on top of my spaghetti and some butter on my corn. And dinner was done. And, well, what do you know? I saved the very best for last. So we're going to have crock pot Italian chicken with pasta. And in the summertime, I love a good crock pot dinner. And this was our very first time ever trying this dinner. So I highly recommend it. It was really good. So here's all my seasonings that I'm going to use. And I'm also going to use some of that ranch dressing mix. And it's in the little packets. But if you have the shaker, you know, just eyeball it. You know how much ranch you like. And then I've just got this bottle of Italian dressing. It's just like the Olive Garden brand, but it's the Walmart brand. And then in my crock pot, of course, I have 2 chicken breasts, but you could also probably do like chicken thighs or something like that. But I'm just going to use the breast for today. And as you can tell, I'm seasoning it up. And then I just poured that whole bottle of that Italian dressing in there on top of that chicken. And I also did go in with a little bit of water after I drained all that dressing out of that bottle. Then I just popped my lid on there for about 8 hours on low. I went to work and I come home and my house was smelling so delicious. And then this is how it looked once I got home. So now I'm just going to use 2 forks and shred that chicken up. And then once I got that chicken shredded up, I went in with this block of cream cheese and just a little bit of heavy whipping cream. You don't really need much of that whipping cream at all. And then of course I'm going to boil my penne pasta on the stove. I just don't feel right with dumping all that in the crock pot. I feel like it's not going to cook thoroughly, so I just prefer to boil my noodles on the stove. But you could also dump them in the crock pot. You just want to make sure you have enough liquid and all that good old stuff. And then once I did put the cream cheese into the chicken mixture, I wanted to make sure I submersed it down into the liquid just so that it would melt fast, because I wanted it to be melted by the time I had my pasta cooked, and it was. So here it is all mixed up. I'm just going to give it a little stir to make sure that it's all, you know, blended and mixed in there really well. And then I'm going to dump my pasta in there and mix that in there as well. And also for a side to go with our Italian chicken pasta, I just had some broccoli and I just boiled that in a pot on the stove. But y'all, I wanted to take a few minutes and just tell y'all thank y'all so very much. I've been MIA over here on my channel for a very long time, but all of y'all stuck around and just waited for me to come back with a new What's for Dinner, and that means so much to me. And I appreciate and love each and every one of y'all, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Also, if you're ever watching any of my What's for Dinners and you're like, what in the world is this girl doing? I don't really know either, because y'all, I'm not a chef. I'm just cooking for my family, and I just wanted to share with y'all what works for us, because it could work for y'all as well. So keep that in mind if you're ever watching any of my future What's for Dinners. But y'all, this is how it turned out. Thank y'all so much for being here today. I love each and every one of y'all, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye, y'all.